The birth of a child is a monumental event for a family, but the impact of a pregnancy can last a lifetime. Doulas offer non-medical support to women during pregnancy, birth, and the postpartum period, with the goal of keeping the mother's needs from being lost in the commotion of childbirth and ensuring a positive birthing experience.
The crib. She just made me feel like everything I was feeling was valid, and that she would be there for me, and that everything would be okay, kind of. Like, she made me feel just that everything was going to be fine. And she just made me feel kind of safe, like I could trust her.
Well, she didn't, there was no, I mean, you didn't have to choose to stay with me. It's you know, based on your comfort and if you felt comfortable and stuff. But Jill's pretty good at getting to know people and knowing if they're a good match or not, so.
And I feel like you will calm me down when I get really scared. You'll be able to be like, bring it down. Which I think I need.
Oh, you're going to do great.
Motherhood and childbirth experience are the main criteria for becoming a doula. Victoria Kellett began training to become a doula after the birth of her 4th child. 2 years and 34 babies later, she is now a full-time doula.
Well, we're trained in basically the anatomy and physiology of birth first, and then the different stages of labor and how to support a mom through those different stages of labor. So not just what happens to her body, but how she can cope. We're trained in the different pain medication options and the pros and cons of each of those, so we can educate the mom, and we don't really advocate what she should do, but we want her to make sure that she's making informed choices.
Mothercraft Ottawa offers a free volunteer doula service to vulnerable women in the community, such as low-income and single mothers, immigrants and refugees, recovering addicts, and women fleeing abusive relationships. Gillian Szollos manages the program.
It's popular, it's a service, and it has a profound benefit to birth outcomes. The evidence is copious, but yet there's no ongoing funding. We are supported, our program is supported absolutely by the City of Ottawa, through United Way, through private donors, but not enough. And if this were something that, you know, that were to become federally funded, and so any mom who wanted a doula could have one, it would have an enormous impact. We have figured, just loosely doing numbers, looking at low birth weight prevention, for example, and the number of reduced cesareans in our program, that our little program with a $150,000 budget saves the healthcare system over $3 million every year, but yet we can't get stable funding. So we're very caught. Social services says that we're health, health says that we're social services. The reality is that we're both.
Many studies, including one published in the Journal of Perinatal Education in 2008, show that having a doula on the birthing team significantly lowers the mother's chances of needing a C-section or requesting an epidural. Mothercraft says that higher breastfeeding rates, as well as a generally positive birth experience, are other benefits of having a doula. Some of the doulas I've spoken with say that in some instances, they're still struggling to be recognized as a legitimate part of the modern birthing team. But they, as well as medical professionals I've spoken with, are adamant that doulas are able to fill gaps left by doctors, nurses, and midwives, and have been instrumental in returning the focus to the mother during childbirth.
Well, I've been delivering babies now for 24 years. And I always welcome them in the delivery room because, frankly, I'm not there that much. The consistency of the doula being there during the labor and delivery is the critical bit. So I'm very often there for short bits during the labor, and then during the second stage, or the pushing stage, is when I'm generally there. Whereas the doula is there on an ongoing basis and often interprets what is said by the medical staff or the nursing staff so the woman can understand where it's all going.
It's not even a gap in the medical system that doulas fill, it's just a gap in social support. So, you know, where doulas are coming in for these women is a friend who they can just call, who happens to know how to navigate the system and who happens to know how to support them in labour, who happens to know some things they can do if they're having a really uncomfortable sort of third trimester of pregnancy. A doula especially in the birth companion program, is not authority. The doulas just happen to be a knowledgeable friend who can help you sort of on the journey.
You are wonderful. Mama loves you. Mama loves you. I think giving birth it's a life-changing experience when you go through a lot of pain and you don't feel the support that you hope you would have. You might end up having the family that you didn't dream have. Much fewer kids, or pain that never goes away, or emotional trauma that you never go through. But I definitely think if you care about yourself, you want to have as much psychological and emotional support as possible. And that's where a doula comes. It's priceless.
The doulas, to me, on an overarching level, have a very similar effect on our system as traditional midwives have on the rest of the world. And that is, they keep reminding everybody about simple things, and that birth is simple, that the way for a woman to get through labor often has very little to do with technology, and the medical profession has not really improved on the normal birth.
Okay, can I check my phone real quick?
Absolutely, sure.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know if you picked up on
During our interview, McFarlane awaited news from another one of her clients who had gone into labor earlier that day.
Okay, I have to go.
Okay.
Sorry, she's 5 centimeters dilated, and that was when I first came in. I'm really, really sorry.
Okay.
I'm really sorry.
The reality of being a doula. On call 24/7 and ready to go at a moment's notice.
Bye. You feel differently when you get to know the person that's going to help you while you give birth. You're going to have that person there, and then you're going to continue to be able to access that person after you give birth. It's more like possibly establishing a friendship, but it's more personal and more useful than just to be there and have one nurse, maybe 2 nurses, depending if they change shifts or not, and then never see the person again. It makes it special, and it makes this birth-giving experience much easier, psychologically much easier.
Yes, you're wonderful. You are wonderful. You're gonna be on the camera. Oh, so. That's a great one.
Wow. See, and then he's like got an arm. You're like, oh my god. And like a little nose.
It's so surreal almost.
Technology is ridiculous. That one, he looks like an old man. Those ones, he's got little chins. But I had a cousin who said it was like an alien inside her, and she hated it. And I think her son is 6 now, and she doesn't want another one because it was just so weird for her. But I kind of like it because I'm like, oh, but it doesn't feel like a baby though. It just feels like, but it doesn't feel like an alien either. It just feels right, sort of.
For the 25th hour, I'm Chloe Haynes.